Good afternoon, my faithful listeners, and thank you for tuning in to the Post-Apocalyptic News Radio, the only source for the latest goings-on in the little corner of the post-apocalyptic wasteland we call home. Today is the 2nd of June by my calendar, and we're live at the bottom of the hour. Up first, our weather segment, which I am now contractually obliged to deliver with no witty attempt to skip, unless pre-approved by administrative staff. It's another scorching summer wasteland day with temperatures as high as 90 degrees Celsius and a low of 72. The wasteland has become a desert most deadly. It is the recommendation of the studio that trips out of your shelter are kept to vital travel only at night with appropriate clothing. The danger of overheating is much too great otherwise. As well, we can expect clear skies and sun all day every day for all of this week, with no signs of cloud cover or rain anywhere in sight. Moving on from our weather, it's time for our daily siege report. The MCR invaded and took control of our wasteland not long ago, but the studio's defenses held. Now, a bitter standoff between your home for music and news and a society of brutes. Our studio is being held by a sentry, which we have named the Lame Mules, though that is in spite of their actual name, which we refuse to recognize. The Lame Mules are led by Centurion Octavian and Optio Justin. Since our last report, our captors have attempted to block our signal from reaching you, my faithful listeners. Though lacking knowledge in where exactly our signal comes from, they have only succeeded in stopping us from reaching a fraction of you. However, they do still continue to block letters from reaching or from leaving the studio, a fact most disheartening. But nevertheless, information continues to flow. Lines of communication are in fact still open. You may recall some time ago, you people tore down the phone lines to salvage the copper, like the monsters you are. Fortunately, we've just completed a reconstruction project of those very phone lines. So despite their best efforts, Octavian of the Lame Mules isn't severing any means of information, which moves us directly into our next story. The telephone lines. You may be looking up and not see them. You may call me a liar, but I assure you they are in place. Some of our sources from around the wasteland have access to these and now share their stories with us via telephone. You may still call me a liar not seeing the lines, but I cannot say what we've done, for you animals would once again steal the copper. Now you may wonder how you can use these telephone lines, and the reality is you cannot. And there's a very good reason for this. For as long as we are under the MCR's occupation, you must understand that they will abuse any resource we provide. The phone lines should become a means of swift communication for them, a way to cut off our means of communication at the studio, and a commodity to tax you, my faithful listeners, for every moment spent on the line. So I regret to inform you that though this infrastructure may be in place, it is unavailable for your use until the MCR has abandoned our corner of the wasteland. This is normally where I'd say we'll be back after a few commercial messages, but we don't have any. You must understand, Legatus Aurelius has put out an order. It reads as follows. It is the will of the Senate of the MCR that no private persons nor businesses shall engage in communication with, dealings with, or lend aid to the criminal radio station designated Station Gamma. This order, along with other laws, have been placed about the wasteland provided to all surviving settlements. Included is a map of our wasteland revealing our location marked as Gamma. It is not presently known if there are other stations labeled Alpha, Beta, or Delta, but it is our assumption that this may be the case. With this order having a penalty of death by entombment, no legitimate offers to purchase advertisements have been made. I personally cannot fault anyone. I surely would not risk such a terrifying and slow death personally. With that, we shall continue into our next segment. Ever since the incident, the wild things of the world have changed. Very few beasts are as they once were. Often morphed and mutated into horrific abominations, these creatures prowl the wastes. Many of them deadly, some helpful, others benign. In this segment, we should discuss our wasteland's wild things. Today, we will discuss the coal birds. These nocturnal creatures are roughly the size of crows from the world that was, with feathers as dark as ash and eyes that hold an amber tint. Most curious of all is that this creature emits some form of bioluminescence, causing the tips of some of its feathers to glow and flicker in a way not dissimilar from the coals of a fire. Their talons are curved like hooks, with backwards-facing barbs. A serrated beak allows the same function as teeth. Their cry is harsh and quick, and can be heard several kilometers away. They are omnivorous creatures who will eat anything from corpses to trash, and even the few plants about the wasteland, but they do prefer fresh, live meat, including the flesh of man. While coal birds do travel alone, they much rather to travel in large groups called torches. At night they do hunt their prey, from beasts of burden to pests to any unfortunate soul traveling the waste. A single coal bird is easy enough to fend off, but a torch can shred a man in under a minute. Curiously, their feathers, when removed from the bird, retain their illuminating property, though they do require sunlight once removed from the bird to function. If left in the sun for an hour, they can remain lit for up to 8 hours. It is a curious and dangerous bird, but one with some amount of use. That's going to conclude our Creature Spotlight, and I'm afraid it's also going to conclude our afternoon news for the day. I'm afraid the lame mules are preparing something, and we need to be ready if they attempt an assault. Before we go, I should like to leave you with the afternoon puzzler. Did you discover yesterday's answer? I'll remind you the question was, how does a penguin build its house? The answer: it glues it together. Congratulations to anyone who got that one. Today's puzzler is as follows. Why was the cemetery so overcrowded? Think about it, and tune in tomorrow for the answer. Thank you so much, my faithful listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back again for more of the latest soon, but do stay tuned for the evening radio music. Until next time, I wish you all the very best, and if you're truly out there, good luck.